Hello guys, it's Revolution. In this video we're going to be talking about whether or not the new latest antagonist, Granola, I'm not really sure whether you can call him a villain. I don't think he is of a villainous nature. He just wants revenge for wrongdoing to him and his planet. But, you know, he is the new antagonist in town. And usually the case in Dragon Ball is the newest antagonist is the strongest to date. Now, I know some people do dispute that, but, you know, it has largely been the case anyway. And we do now know that Granola is the strongest in the universe. That has been made abundantly clear, not just in the mainstream continuity, but in supplementary material as well. It's extremely consistent. Look, it doesn't mean we won't be thrown any curveballs in future chapters, but as of the date of this video, the information we have present, it's clear cut that Granola is the strongest warrior. He is stronger than Ultra Instinct Goku, he's stronger than Vegeta. I mean, if he's stronger than Goku, he's stronger than Vegeta anyway. He's stronger than Broly, he's stronger than Beerus, he's stronger than Moro, he's stronger than Frieza. And I know that seems obvious, but Frieza does grow at an extraordinary rate, and who knows if Frieza's been training during this time between the last time he appeared in the Broly arc to now, then, you know, he could be extremely strong. But Granola is stronger. Of course, once again, the lurking shadow that hovers over Dragon Ball Super, the question remains is Granola stronger than the God of Destruction, Beerus? So look, before Chapter 70 came out, I did make a video concerning who was stronger out of Ultra Instinct Goku and Beerus, and I made it quite clear that you can use certain power scaling methods, but also suspect or lean to believe the narrative is going a particular way due to the context that's kind of hard to prove definitively and objectively, or is as close to objectivity as possible in a power scaling method. Ultimately, Goku and Beerus both have a comparable feat now, and that is the fact that Beerus stomped Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta, but Goku defeated a character that also stomped Blue Evolution Vegeta, so you can scale him higher via that method. But, you know, I, like many people, do suspect that Beerus is still the strongest, at least before Granola came along. Do I still hold that opinion? Well, that's what we're really talking about in this video. And look, guys, it's not that I really think Beerus still being the goalpost is a good story. I'm honestly done with it. I'm fed up of it. And I do think it's holding the Dragon Ball Super story back. I know a lot of people are interested in the character of Beerus, but this whole Beerus being the goalpost narrative, if it is still the case, it's just stale to me. I do like the character of Beerus, and I will enjoy if he does fight Ultra Instinct Goku or against Goku and Vegeta. But ultimately, you know, I would like the story to move on. I'd like it to get past the end of Z now. But my personal enjoyment over a plot device or a narrative device within the Dragon Ball story doesn't really correlate with how I power scale things. Now, the thing with Beerus is there's been a lot of implications, but at the beginning of Chapter 70, I think we've had the biggest implication yet, that Beerus is still unrivaled. So, on the very first page of Chapter 70, the distinction is made between the gods and warriors, and that just seems to imply that Beerus isn't taken into account when they're saying that Granola is going to be the strongest warrior. Look, this is just a Viz translation I'm basing this off. I would like to see how other translators translate it, but based on the information we have there, you know, it's saying he can become the strongest warrior other than the gods. Look, the Supreme Kais in terms of battle power just aren't relevant. They haven't been relevant for a long time. And sure, they have magic. As we saw with the Grand Supreme Kai, his magic was particularly proficient. But ultimately, in terms of relevance, if Granola wants to be the strongest, becoming stronger than a Supreme Kai isn't really saying much, you know. He wouldn't stand a chance against the likes of Frieza or Goku. And look, in terms of relevance of just becoming stronger than characters, I think the fact that after the Oracle Fish talked about the strongest warrior in the universe, Whis automatically zooms in on his staff on Granola. You know, Whis is going out of his way to look for who the strongest warrior is by some means, and he has found Granola. So you could say it's an acknowledgement on Whis' actions and his part that Granola is even stronger than current Ultra Instinct Goku. And we know how strong current Ultra Instinct Goku is. But obviously you have to look at how stories are written, and don't get me wrong, sometimes time is wasted on the writer's part by writing in silly things. Even this chapter we get, you know, the whole haircut ordeal. But ultimately, you know, writers generally have an objective when writing what they're trying to write. They want to advocate something, they want to put forward a context for us to construe, to move the story along. Ultimately, I mean, I don't know why I have to keep saying this. The writer's job is to basically convey a story to us, and they advocate that via the narrative, and the narrative consists of many things. It consists of statements, consists of dialogue, it consists of feats. All of them collude basically into the overall overriding narrative. But the writers will generally, use the pages, the panels that they have to convey the story in the best means possible. I'm not saying it's always done, and the problem is kanji doesn't directly translate into English, so we do generally get a very chopped up dialogue coming from these characters that doesn't necessarily always make sense and can sometimes be mistranslated by translators despite them giving their best efforts. It's a very difficult job. But providing this first page is correct, I do believe that the idea is to say, look, the god of destruction, Whis, any gods above that, this isn't who Granolah can surpass by becoming the strongest in the universe. I guess there is the opportunity for it not to include Beerus. Maybe it's just referring to Whis. I find it unlikely given the context of everything surrounding this particular scenario, given that Hakai energy is a technique that is seen as a rival to that of Ultra Instinct. But obviously we do go on to see Granolah get his wish granted. He does become the strongest in the universe, and of course we still have that distinction from the dragon that, he'll become the strongest life force in the universe other than the gods. And given the context of it, maybe he hasn't surpassed maybe the Supreme Kais in terms of magic ability. It is implied that he has magic ability by one of the heaters. It's unsure into what that technique is. I know a lot of people are now disputing whether it is Hakai or not. In all honesty, when I did see it, I definitely did think it was Hakai, and I would still definitely say I believe it is Hakai. I guess we'll find out in future chapters. And I do think it makes sense that if he's going to be made the strongest warrior, if he's going to be granted abilities, for example, he was granted the ability to sense ki of others, which is something he didn't have before. That's not necessarily something that comes with being the strongest. But to be the strongest, maybe he is granted the abilities necessary to also make him the strongest. Just, I guess, being the strongest in terms of raw power probably wouldn't cut it anymore, given that the likes of Goku and Vegeta have either godly techniques or are learning godly techniques. So maybe to be the strongest life force in the universe, he would have been granted the abilities to just surpass them. Look, that kind of needs to be clarified in the future. I did feel like it was implied that he also had Ultra Instinct, but actually, him just dodging techniques from a vastly weaker character doesn't really confirm it. But, that was the impression I got when I first read it, as I felt like the wish made him the strongest in all regards. So basically in every technique and ability he has, which I'm sure we'll find out in the future chapters in the manga, he might be the strongest concerning those abilities and traits in all regards in the universe as a warrior. Obviously, there was the moment where Goku asked if there was anybody in the universe stronger than him and Vegeta. I'm still surprised that he counted Vegeta in that, but it is what it is. That is what the story is conveying to us. So as far as we are aware, Vegeta is the second strongest in the universe after Ultra Instinct Goku, and I think that gap between them is pretty damn big. But obviously what this tells us is that it wasn't including Beerus, because only a chapter ago, Beerus no-diffed Vegeta. So if the question was regarding Beerus in that particular regard, then obviously Whis would have said, well, you've literally just seen Vegeta get stomped by Beerus. But to be honest, if Granolah just turns up and he's only a little bit stronger than Ultra Instinct Goku, and he doesn't have the techniques to, match Ultra Instinct Goku, then, he's going to struggle even if he is stronger, because Ultra Instinct gives Goku mastery of self-movement, which can serve as an equalizer to greater power. Obviously, Granolah has his own sniping ability, which I'm sure will be brought into play, and I did talk about that in the video and how that will be an interesting contest between Granolah's sniping abilities and Goku's Ultra Instinct, and how he dodges the sniping. Whis did mention accuracy a lot when training Goku's Ultra Instinct, and obviously sniping is something that relies heavily on accuracy. So ultimately, Beerus is still being kept aside in terms of direct comparisons by characters in the story, even to this day. Obviously, we've wondered whether Beerus has been surpassed ever since the Tournament of Power. A lot of us feel like that was the right time to have him surpassed. But, whilst I wouldn't say there is anything absolutely concrete that puts him above everybody yet, there's been a lot of things that have been implied that he's at least at the level of current Ultra Instinct Goku. And obviously, providing that translation stands up to the test of time when other translators translate it, then, the dragon makes it clear that the god's power is above what Granolah has. Look, obviously, when Beerus decided to intervene against Planet Morrow, given that Beerus was supposedly fodder way back in the Tournament of Power, if Beerus was fodder in the Tournament of Power, he likely would have been able to do literally jack shit against Planet Morrow, considering how much growth we saw from Goku and Morrow basically in one battle. And, there's plenty of instances throughout the Dragon Ball continuity where even multiple weaker characters, even with a percentage difference, can't do anything against the stronger character, because the stronger character's speed and power are just simply too much. Of course, that doesn't necessarily put him above Planet Moro on its own, but then we have the Chapter 67 revelations concerning Beerus saying that even Vegeta, who, Beerus a chapter later stomped casually, can surpass current Ultra Instinct Goku by learning Hakai. Beerus pretty much said, look, all the Gods of Destructions have this technique, this power, this Hakai, and it can help you surpass Ultra Instinct Goku. That was the biggest indication that Ultra Instinct Goku, isn't unsurpassable, and Beerus believes that Vegeta can learn to use this ability to surpass current Ultra Instinct Goku, and given that Beerus is highly likely to be one of the strongest Gods of Destructions, especially given everything that's been revealed lately, you'd have to base this on something, and he's likely basing it based on his own power. Look, I'm not saying it's concrete, I'm just saying that it's heavily implied in that manner. Of course, Vegeta also sees a small demonstration of that power, and whilst we were all bemused by the fact that they're impressed about a planet being destroyed, given that base Vegeta in the current chapter is struggling to Hakai a rock or a pebble, then obviously this technique is extremely difficult to, that base Vegeta would casually be able to destroy a planet without even trying, but ultimately what Beerus did was erase it. And we know that Vegeta saw this demonstration and wanted Beerus' power. We know that Vegeta's objective is to be stronger than current Ultra Instinct Goku. So, not is only Beerus thinking that Hakai can surpass current Ultra Instinct Goku, Vegeta seems to believe it as well. Even Goku, knowing exactly how strong he is, also seems to believe that it's now a race between him and Vegeta on who can become the strongest in the universe. So even Goku must have some inclination to believe that Vegeta can surpass him, and even Whis asks Goku, is he worried that Beerus is training Vegeta now? So Whis isn't exactly denying the possibility either. Look, we know Goku's going to get stronger as well. Look, this is Goku's story pretty much. He will end up the strongest whenever Dragon Ball Super decides to conclude, but he will be surpassed along the way, and he will use those instances to motivate himself. And whilst Vegeta still remains a relevant character, I'm sure Vegeta will find ways to surpass Goku, but that will only spur Goku on. That is just the story of Dragon Ball and Goku and Vegeta's relationship. Both Goku and Vegeta believe that Vegeta can rival Ultra Instinct based on the demonstration that Beerus gave, which was only a small part of his power. Look, I'm not going to go out on a limb yet and say that Beerus is definitely stronger than Ultra Instinct Goku, because like I said, you can scale Ultra Instinct Goku above Beerus, providing that first page of Chapter 70 doesn't mean exactly what it appears to mean. But obviously, we know that Granola is stronger than Ultra Instinct Goku anyway, so is Beerus going to be stronger than Granola, who we know is the strongest warrior in the universe? If I had to put a bet out right now, I do believe Beerus is still the goalpost, but you need to differentiate power scaling methods to what you suspect could be happening, and that has been my message over the last few videos, really. And I would put my money on Beerus being the strongest, but really depends on the interpretation of that first page. Look, I've definitely interpreted it as that meaning that Granola has been granted a power that surpasses everybody, every mortal in the universe except for the gods. Or is Goku's godly technique considered above what the dragon can grant? Who knows? There's definitely some questions that need to be answered, but my message recently has been about how you use power scaling methods to scale characters, and what you believe is happening isn't quite the same thing. Power scaling is based on what you know and what you can prove, and getting as close to objectivity as possible, using many different techniques to achieve the maximum territorial gain for objectivity, I guess you could say. The problem is, because Beerus doesn't particularly do a lot, we don't have a lot to go on. We have statements, indirect statements made by other characters, which, you can interpret differently. I do believe there's a consistent amount of implications that could lean towards the preponderance of evidence in Beerus' favour still being the strongest. And of course, I've seen some people pointing to the fact that, Beerus is just resting whilst Goku's training his Ultra Instinct and Vegeta's training his Hakai ability. He doesn't seem to be worried about this rivalry at all. And we know that the Oracle Fish is taken seriously when it comes to his prophecies, because this arc has focused on him making a prophecy about the strongest warrior in the universe, and the Oracle Fish infamously prophesied that Goku and Vegeta would be Beerus' main rivals, and Beerus has brought that up since then as well, when he fought Vegeta just before the Tournament of Power. But many people have many different scaling methods. Some people want feats only. They are proper featists. Some people believe statements and feats together can lead you to the right answer. Look, it's not necessarily about getting the right answer, it's getting the most probable answer, because obviously we are making cases from points of conjecture. Some people believe implications can also be considered into scaling. Some people believe character motivations can be considered in scaling. I'm not saying any of them are wrong, because ultimately this is just a fan meta, and fan metas evolve all the time, they change all the time, and what we've really been shown with this latest chapter is you really can't count your chickens on anything. Look how many statements we've had over the last few years concerning the likes of Jiren and Broly, and it seems, at least at the moment, that all of them have just been forgotten about. The writers of the main source material clearly don't consider the previous bits of information from supplementary material, etc., to be relevant to how they want to take the story, in which direction they want to take it in. I know a lot of people do get upset by this stuff, but this is personally the thing I enjoy about power scaling, is getting new information and solving problems and realigning how my power scaling was from before that information came out. Look, power scaling isn't a definite. It's a dynamic, constantly changing meta that takes in new information and comes to the most likely answer. But guys, I want to know your opinions down in the comment section. Who is stronger, Granola or Beerus? We know Granola is the strongest warrior in the universe, but does that include Beerus as well? I do believe that first page does make the distinction between a god and a warrior, but you know, it could also still include Beerus. So I want to know your thoughts on that. I look forward to reading your comments. Do subscribe if you're not subscribed to the channel, plenty of videos to come. Smash the like button, lend the Daishinkan your energy. Until next time, Ad Astra.